Hello! I'm here today to do my March 2019 wrap-up. Yes, my March wrap-up. I was out of town and I just didn't feel like filming anything last month really, so here we are. I forgot to look up the movies and stuff again. Let me try to do that really fast. I will start with the first thing that I read. Sorry if you can tell that I'm doing two things at once. So the first thing that I finished was Fables Volume 1, Legends in Exile. This is basically, I don't want to say Once Upon a Time, but in what's it called? Graphic novel form, but it's like the same general vibe. All of the, story creatures that we know and love or love to hate have been exiled, which is why it's called Legends in Exile. There's some kind of evil thing that took over their homeland, so now they are living in, I think it's New York. Yeah, they live in New York, and so they're just kind of trying to stay incognito. There's some characters that can't pass as obviously human, so they send them to some kind of farm area. But the general plot of this is that Snow White, dang, that was loud, sorry, that Snow White's sister has been murdered, or in her apartment there's a ton of blood found, so they're trying to find out what happened to her, if she's dead or not, and who did whatever happened to her. This is, it was really enjoyable. I'm going to continue on. I love this kind of stuff. I will say that because I've been watching so much Once Upon a Time, it is really confusing because the Snow White in this series is kind of a hard ass. She's much more tough, and I'm used to Snow White being oh, whatever. This Snow White is much more interesting, I think, as a character. And yeah, I really like it too. Let me see if I can find some artwork that's not spoilery. Oh, that I just flipped through my absolute favorite. It's not actually part of the comics, but all of the covers, the art for the covers are just absolutely stunning. It's a completely different art style inside. It's more of a classic comic book, and the paper is very papery, not a typical graphic novel feel, which I really, really enjoy. The next thing that I finished was The Best American Short Stories from 1999, edited by Amy Tan. I loved this so much. It's kind of hard because I read all of these a while ago, so I don't remember exactly a ton of them. The one that I remember the most and that stuck with me the most is The Tumblers by Nathan Englander, which was originally published in American Short Fiction, and that is a really, really heavy story, kind of about a group of Jews that are supposed to get on there. I think they're in the ghetto at the time, and they're supposed to get onto trains to go to concentration camps, but they get on the wrong car train, and they end up going they end up on the train that's performers that are going to a Nazi party thing or whatever, and that one was really, that one was really heartbreaking. In general, I love all of these, though. I thought they were all fantastic. I'm a huge sucker for short fiction in general, and this, they get short fiction from all kinds of different literary journals and magazines and stuff. Almost all of these tonally are very similar, very quiet. Sorry, I'm cooking an artichoke. Very quiet, reserved kind of stories, nothing that's super action-packed, mostly just about relationships and character development and that kind of stuff, which is my favorite. The next thing that I read was a huge disappointment, and that's Neon Soul by Alexandra L. I honestly, okay, now I remember why I don't like this, because, the problem again is that I read these things a while ago, 2 months ago. So I saw that I rated this 2 stars on Goodreads, and I was like, oh, I don't really remember. And now I do, looking through. It's that same kind of super, super short, trying to be really punchy, but not quite being as punchy as I would like it to be. Here's an example. Trust yourself enough to let go and live even when it's the most uncomfortable thing to bear. I don't know. Maybe just rhythm-wise, I'm not getting it in my head. Poetry is very difficult for me, but I just feel like this, just was kind of not really into it. And the next that I have is Woman Hollering Creek by Sandra Cisneros. So this is a short story collection. and I really, really loved this, but I don't remember a ton about it, which is super disappointing. Let me see if I can. Oh, I do remember. So I don't remember any of the stories specifically, but this does a lot of this feels like you're kind of with someone who's telling you a story about something that happened to someone. So it's very like casual and feels like you're talking to one of your close friends or your aunt or something, and they're relating something about another story. And oh my gosh, how annoying! Sorry. And yeah, she touches themes that I feel like she talks about quite frequently about, being a woman, etc. And I absolutely loved it. I wish I remembered more about it though. I should probably, I don't know, reread this already. Yeah, I adore Sandra Cisneros. The next book that I read is Convenience Store Woman, and this is by Sayaka Murata and translated by Ginny Tapley Takamori. Obviously, everyone has read this on BookTube already, so I'm not going to give away anything. It's a woman who works at a convenience store, and she is very, I want to say like disjointed, not disjointed, but there's some kind of block between her and like regular society, and I really enjoyed this. Also, very like quiet, reserved, a little like weird. I feel like if you read this and enjoyed it, I would suggest No Longer Human. I don't remember what his name is. Osamu Dazai, I think. I'll link it below. But it has it's definitely a little bit harder of a read with regards like how quick, like I read this so quickly. It's a little bit more challenging, I guess, but it is like thematically, I feel like it felt the same. It didn't feel the same, but I had the same kind of like general like feeling of disjointment and like our narrator being detached kind of from like other people in the society around them. Really, really enjoyed this. The next thing that I read was Welcome to Dead House by R.L. Stine. This is the first in the Goosebumps books. I've been trying to like kind of collect these because these were, everyone's like Animorphs and Babysitter's Club, and I can't think of anything else, but these are the ones that I read growing up. And this was actually really good. I feel like, I mean, I guess you could kind of tell where it was going, but maybe you couldn't, and it's just because I knew, because in my brain it's somewhere. But this was a little bit creepier than I thought it would be, and I think like more, I don't know, it wasn't as, I was worried it was going to be like quite bad because I'm kind of picky not picky when it comes to writing, but we all have our preferences, and I have a very specific type of preference when it comes to writing, and I was worried that because I didn't think that this would be that because it's a little kid's book, or a kid's book. But I still really enjoyed it, so it's making me very hopeful for the rest of the books. Oh, this is like a family moves into like a new house in a new neighborhood, and then the kids start meeting people or other kids, and then things get kind of weird. That's it. And the last thing that I read in March was The Big Four by Agatha Christie. This is my least favorite Christie so far. I found this highly disappointing. I don't know. I don't know. I just didn't like it. Maybe because it took me so long to read. I feel like sometimes when it takes you a really long time to read something, your enjoyment of it kind of decreases. But, we've got Hastings with Poirot, again, classic, and there's like this organization called the Big Four, and it's like a French woman and like a Japanese man, or no, I think a Chinese man, and an American man, and like a British man. And so they're this big organization that's trying to do something. I don't know. I just found it horribly boring, I guess. I don't remember much other than, there's unfortunately a person of color, there's a Chinese man and like his people, and so it's super racist. Again, Agatha Christie is challenging to read because of that, and I really do just cross my fingers every time I read one of her books that there's only white people in it, so I don't have to hear her comment about other races. So yeah, I would leave that one if you're not like trying to read all of her books. So those are all the books that I read. Oh, there's my bullet journal. Perfect. So I did buy some stuff in March, so now we're gonna move on to kind of like stat type things. So because I bought stuff, so I bought 9 books and only read 7, and like page count, I didn't read it. I only read 1,352 pages in March. So I DNF'd. I picked 2 books because I'm still trying to keep my page, at least my page balance at a negative. Oh my gosh, where is it? At a negative, even if I'm gaining books. So I DNF'd 2 things. Let me show them to you. These are both books from my dad's shelves. Again, I feel like those are going to be the easiest kind of ones to get rid of. So the first is The New Deal and the Problem of Monopoly by Ellis W. Hawley. I just, in an ideal world, I would be the type of person that would read this, but I'm not going to read this. Who am I kidding right now? I'm not an economics or business person, and it's not for me. And then the other one is The Arab-Israeli Wars, War and Peace in the Middle East, From the War of Independence Through Lebanon by, I don't know how to pronounce that, Chaim, I don't know, Herzog? I think this guy was, he was born in Ireland. Let me see, I feel like he became like he was a big guy in Israel, but I can't remember what it's called. Are they presidents there or prime minister? I don't know. He was like a top guy. He's the top guy. Their version of president. I don't know if it's an actual president though. Anyways, basically, I have no interest in reading this piece of propaganda. I have very specific views on Israel and Palestine and what is happening, and I don't really want to hear about this guy's opinion about that kind of stuff. I don't know. It's not, my political leanings, I don't think are going to agree with this at all. And I just, what's the point when I've got all these other beautiful books behind me that I would rather read? So, those are the things that I have DNF'd also. I guess I forgot to I like doing my books in order of favorite to worst, or worst to favorite. I don't like ending on a downer. I should have done this first. Sorry, guys. It's been too long. I forget. I am going to talk about the movies that I watched too in February and March because I forgot to mention them in my February wrap-up. I watched the movie Miami Connection, which was hilarious. I'm going to link all of the... I link kind of everything below, so trailers to these movies will be down below. But Miami Connection is so funny. It's like one of those like really, really bad movies. Like it's so good. It's good because it's, so bad. So it was written, directed, and stars, and probably produced by the same guy. And he is part of like a musical group that ends up getting involved in some kind of like these bad guys are kind of attacking them. So there's a lot of like kung fu, and maybe not kung fu, taekwondo. I don't remember. Some kind of impressive fighting situation, and there's really, really fun music. And so I'll try to link below, like specifically maybe to a video of them singing "Friends Forever." I forget how it goes, but it was really funny. And then I watched The Blues Brothers, which I had never seen before. And wow, that was so impressive. It was a little vulgar at times for me personally, but in general, I didn't realize like what the concept of the movie was or what was going to be happening. And once you first see like or hear some really good musical performances, you're like, what is happening right now? And then you're like, oh, yeah, great, that's Aretha Franklin. No big deal. Like, how did they get these big names to be in this movie? I have no idea, but it was so good. I watched Never Been Kissed in February too, which, is one of the best movies of all time. And then in March, let's see, I watched Girls Trip, which was so funny. I will say parts of it really stressed me out, and Tiffany Haddish, she is hilarious, but she is like, there's like one scene specifically that I'm thinking of where they're like above a group of people, and that like to me was like a little bit too much, but in general that movie was so good. 4 girls they like used to be best friends and they meet up. I'll just link a trailer below, whatever. Murder on the Orient Express I watched, and I feel like I've already expressed my huge disappointment in that. I thought it just was not good. So disappointing. I think I gave it 2 stars, but I almost want to give it less than that. I don't know. I was not 100% paying attention, but I just felt like they were trying way too hard to make Poirot into like a very specific type of person. And it was very frustrating for me to watch. And then I also watched Widows in March, which was rough. That was a really, really good movie. I can't remember the main actress. She's very, very famous. It was just so good, and it really made me cry quite a lot. But it's intense. It's basically a group of women who are trying to do like their husbands were part of some kind of group that did robberies and stuff, and they all died in the last like heist. So they're kind of trying to do this heist that they were supposed to do to like pay off debt or something. I don't know. But yeah, that was really intense. So I would highly recommend all the movies I mentioned except for Murder on the Orient Express. So that's all I'm going to mention this time. And I will see you guys hopefully shortly with my April wrap up. Bye.